Hello everyone, I hope you are doing okay. I hope you're keeping safe and I hope you're keeping sane. Today I want to talk about advice. I want to talk about advice when it comes to quitting gambling. I want to talk about advice you receive when it comes to self-improvement, when it comes to all sorts of addictions and behaviours and lifestyle changes, and why I intensely dislike this type of advice. And I will acknowledge right at the forefront of this video the irony and to some extent the hypocrisy of this video. Obviously I am here, and in many of my videos, as well as sharing experiences, I do indeed give advice off the back of those experiences. So with that kind of put aside, you will hopefully understand really where I'm coming from with this. When I first started my initial sort of lumpy road towards gambling recovery, i.e. the first few times that I decided that I wanted to do something about my gambling to reduce the impact that this addiction was having on my life, I obviously reached out for advice. And by reached out for advice, I meant I Googled things. And initially, those things that I Googled, very much in line with the last video that I made, were ways in which I could manage my gambling, the ways in which I could reduce the amount I was gambling, and most significantly, consciously or subconsciously, what I was searching for was a way to reduce my losses, both in financial terms and also in terms of the impact it was having elsewhere in my life. So I was searching for advice, and the thing you'll find when you're looking for advice is you're often looking for more positive affirmation than you are for actual real advice itself. You're looking for something that will tell you what you want to hear. And I was looking for something that told me that I could cut down on my gambling, that I could reduce the impact this gambling was having on my life without the need to quit altogether. As I said, this is something I spoke about at length in my last video. And as the internet is such a vast and varied place, it's almost certainly possible to find someone or a group or a forum that will reflect your own opinions, that will reflect your own desires and reflect your own motivations. And I was finding these people who were saying how to moderate your gambling and all the rest of it. But so often, particularly in the state of a forum, so often these were trumped, discredited, overruled, berated, belittled, disregarded by a great swathe of these do-gooders, these sort of professional high horse preachers who told you that this wasn't possible, who were saying that you couldn't moderate gambling once you're in the midst of addiction. They were telling you have to quit completely. You have to do all of these things. If you suffer from a gambling addiction, you're an idiot, you're a fool, you're kidding yourself if you try to, just cut down. And these people, these preachy, horrible people that were on their high horses, talking down at not only the plans of these other people, but my own plans, the plans I was searching for to sort of to help moderate my gambling. I thought, who are these people? Who are they to tell me, how I can, how my recovery is going to work, how I can change my own life? I am individual, I am unique, I can control what I do. And if my route out of my gambling problem is to gamble less and less and less, rather than quit altogether, then I'm gonna do that. Who do these people think they are with their repetitive, monotonous advice about one day at a time and complete abstinence and all of this sort of stuff? And it did your head in. And I found the same thing when I was looking to lose some weight at the beginning of this year, which I've now done successfully. Thank you very much for noticing. And I actually found myself Googling again for advice that would fit in with what I wanted it to tell me. I was Googling, can I lose my beer gut without quitting beer? I was looking at different diets, different, lifestyle changes that can help me lose weight. And yes, we know there's diets out there that can actually help you to lose significant amounts of weight, without dieting in a conventional sense. But of course, there are health risks associated with those. But once again, I did find people who, would claim to have lost a decent amount of weight while still going to the pub and drinking beer and enjoying a kebab and doing all of these things that I didn't really want to give up. And that was great. But who should come along and ruin it all, time and time again? Well, it's the same sort of people. It's the same self-righteous high horse brigade who came along and rode roughshod over all of these ideas, which I was just coming around to, to agreeing with and getting on board with, saying, well, no, you can't do that. There's only one way to successfully lose weight, and that is to cut out the alcohol, to move more, to eat less, and to exercise. And time and time again, every time I found an alternative solution to this problem I was trying to address, the same people came along and told me again and again, no, you have to do it this way, you have to exercise, you have to cut out the alcohol, and you have to eat less. And if you do that, then it works. And that annoyed me more than anything. And you know why? That, in the same way that the gambling preachers coming along and telling me what I needed to do, the reason they annoyed me so much, and continue to this day, and why I try to be as little as as unpreachy as possible, they annoyed me that much because they were right. And that's why I hate advice, is because it always comes round to it being right. And it took me a long time to realise that the only way I could recover from my gambling addiction was to abstain from gambling, and for taking these steps that I was told I needed to take. In the same way that the way I lost weight in the end was to quit alcohol, to eat less, and to take more exercise. And I hate to admit it, but it worked, and to be fair, I am much happier for it. But it's hard, because when you first look at achieving a goal, whether that goal be addressing your gambling addiction, or losing weight, or drinking less, or whatever, any kind of self-improvement, any kind of recovery, any kind of goal like that, there will be the same bits of advice that come up time and time again, and there are bits of advice that you don't want to take because they don't fit in line with how you want your life to be. I didn't want to be the way I am now, although I'm very happy with it. I wanted to go from being problem gambler to moderate recreational gambler, like I saw so many other people do. But people told me time and time and again, these preachy self-help brigade, that I couldn't do that I had to get into recovery, that I had to install GamStop, self-exclude, talk to people, consider counselling, all these things that I myself have found myself talking about time and time and time again. And I try not to preach, and I try not to say the same things, because I know how annoying it is. I know how frustrating it is when someone comes along with the same old advice. Because ultimately, we don't want to change sometimes. We want recovery advice that fits in line with the lifestyle we see for ourselves. And because we're so addicted and we're so far down the line of gambling, we can't envisage our lives without it. So we look for a solution that doesn't involve its extraction altogether. I knew that I had to stop gambling in the same way that I knew if I was to lose weight, get fitter, and see some of the health issues I was experiencing subside, I needed to stop drinking beer, at least temporarily, whilst I exercised, ate less, moved more, and did all the rest of it. I knew that. I knew that I needed to take gambling one day at a time. I knew that I needed to block myself from doing it, but I didn't want to do it. And that is why gambling advice and recovery advice and self-help advice and diet advice and weight loss advice and all of these types of advice are so irritating, because they nearly always turn out to be true. And there's a reason that there's certain elements of advice, get repeated time after time. It's because they have proven successful time after time. And I will continue to say what I always say on this channel, which is I don't come here from a point of a high horse, because I've failed many, many times. I don't come here to preach to you because I've failed many, many times. And I'm not out of the woods just yet. I still do need to be on my guard. against this addiction. But if you find my advice, if you find the advice of others frustrating, irritating, preachy, moral, then I get it, because I was the one, you know, Googling gambling moderation, you know, recovering from gambling without stopping gambling and all these stupid things. And it was only when I decided to give abstinence a go that I realised that that was the only thing that worked for me. Now, I will put a disclaimer on this and say that I believe there are different methods to recovery. I, for one, didn't go to GA, or certainly didn't find GA was the right route for me. But if someone or a group of more experienced, more learned, you know, people with more scars than yourself, and they're all telling you the same thing, then as much as it pains me and Pastor me to say it, it might just be worth listening to. Cheers for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Stay safe, stay sane, and thank you for all your support. Take care.